This morning, a year after September 11th, an incredible day, and of course, a lot of people say, "Well, I'm tired of hearing about it. I realize there's danger, but you have to get on with your life, of course." But did we learn things from it? The war on terrorism questions now, even should that continue? And do you feel safe and secure, and security measures and all of that? To that end, an international crisis expert, Allan Bonner, is on the line with me from Toronto. We came out of a seminar you're conducting there. He's the author of Doing and Saying the Right Thing. Allan, where were you on September 11th?
I was in the Center for Training in Risk and Crisis Management in Midtown Toronto. I was doing a crisis management seminar for police officers.
Eventually, of course, they had to go and do their duty. It must have been extremely ironic, Allan, I would think.
Yes, indeed, and of course it has come up over and over again. I've been to Ground Zero. I am a little more detached than your previous caller. I'm treating this as a business and as an academic exercise. Something I'm dedicated to is the safety of people, and I call sentimentality unearned emotion. I didn't lose anybody on 9/11. I am sorry those were lost, but on a worldwide scale and on a historical scale, the losses were very small compared to what they could have been. There could have been fewer losses with better procedures and material and what they call in the military kit or equipment, breathing apparatus, suits, what have you, procedures. And that's the thing that I'm dedicated to. I'm angry about unnecessary loss of life, and if there's a way in the Regina Fire Department or in the Moose Jaw Police Department to make people safer, the civilian chain of command owes it to them to make sure the best possible equipment, procedures, and drills are in place.
What should the average person be thinking about it as far as risk or crisis management? I mean, we know companies have more security training, all of that type of thing, but really when it comes down to it, you know, it may prevent a lot of things, but it still could happen anywhere, anytime, any place.
Well, sure. Don't forget the World Trade Center had someone who was responsible for security as well. But I like to use the phrase concentric circles of security. Security doesn't just end on your floor, in your office, in your building, on your block, in your neighborhood. Security may go across borders. It may involve intelligence gathering, police work, what have you. So I think that anyone who's responsible for a floor, fire marshal, fire warden on a floor in an office building with a city, should be thinking about pushing those concentric circles out, farther out geographically, farther out culturally, farther out historically, to understand where threats might come from.
Does anybody in Saskatchewan have to worry about all the stuff you're talking about, Allan?
Oh, sure. Because what about the oil installations? What about the oil refineries? Maybe potash isn't all that big a threat, but I've traveled the country with many, many military officers and with the head of our counterterrorism task force, General Ron Sheridan. And I won't say who said this, but the topic of conversation over drinks at night when we're in some place like Cold Lake is, you know, this country is really vulnerable. With a rifle and a couple of fake credit cards, I could cause panic.
A couple of issues being bandied about, pilots having guns. I don't think that'll work. I don't think anybody does.
Ridiculous. It's a very, very highly skilled thing to fire at close range in a confusing situation where you might have several different targets. I mean, they're not trained to do that. That's a bad idea.
Allan, your recommendation for generally, are we as Canadians kind of doing the right thing now? Are we looking at the right policy?
I'm not sure what we're doing.
Yeah.
I haven't heard any new interesting piece of public policy. I've been on the file with the federal government on, for example, retinal scans and palm prints and thumb prints at border crossings for 15 years, and nobody wants to tackle that issue. Maybe they want to tackle it now. We have all these bridges and tunnels that are vulnerable. We have numerous points of the Saskatchewan border. I mean, most of the border of this country is penetrable by anybody. So I'm not exactly sure what you want me to react to, because I haven't heard a lot of interesting public policy as a reaction to this.
I think you reflect the latest surveys of Canadians who feel that no matter that the government hasn't done enough on this, we're not saying everybody should be armed to the teeth and things like that, but I think we've got to be a lot smarter. And of course, Alan, people think as terrorism as bombs, that type of thing. There's electronic terrorism. I mean, it would be very simple to cause a lot of problems by attacking our computer systems and phone systems and all of that.
The purpose of terrorism is simply and totally to spread terror. If people feel terrorized, if they feel threatened, then the terrorist has won. And that means that the question you asked earlier, can the war on terrorism be won? It can't be won with only bombs and guns. There has to be intelligence. People should arm themselves with From Beirut to Jerusalem, the book about the Middle East. They should arm themselves with the Koran. They should arm themselves with the Bible. They should arm themselves with literature and understanding of history and culture.
Alan, thank you for that. Your advice is to become a knowledge consumer and tune in.
Pleasure.
All right.
Bye-bye.